Hello and welcome to Face to Face. On Face to Face, we do the big stories that matter and speak to the persons who drive the news. Now, my guest today is someone you may not have seen in a long time. Not very long, but yeah, you can call that long time in political terms. I'll ask him what he has been out and about doing, why he's been MIA. On Face to Face, we'll be having that conversation. My name is Umaru Sandamado, and you're welcome. So my guest on Face to Face has been a member of Parliament 2 times. He has been a national executive of the NDC, starting from the bottom all the way to the chairman position. He has been Minister for Local Government and Rural Development. Many people recall him as a very active and vibrant organizer. I remember him way back when I was either in junior high school or secondary school. He was on Kwame Sefakan's show, and he would always be referred to as Bra Sami Photo. Honorable Chairman Ofosu-Ampofo, you're welcome to Face to Face.
Thank you very much.
How are you doing?
Well, God is keeping me. It's not been easy, but
I know. It'll be good.
yeah.
I've always been wondering why Kwame used to call you Sami Photo. Were you a village photographer or something?
Oh, not really a village photographer, but alongside my schooling, I did some photography alongside to support myself financially.
Schooling where GSS, senior high school,
No,
university?
I think those were more or less university time. I mean, from polytechnic to, I say tertiary to university.
Okay. You were doing photography?
Yeah.
Where?
Oh, well, actually, what I was doing is that I was schooling and during holidays, I was more or less the campus photographer for Abuakwa State College in Chibi.
Interesting.
You know,
Interesting.
that's where I come from. So I used to even travel all the way to come and do photography over the weekend. I go back and then the next week come. So
this was
it actually became part of a profession, actually, a profession. At a point in time, I had professional photo studios and others. Whilst I was teaching, I was teaching mechanical engineering at St. Paul's Technical Institute.
Yeah. Okay.
And at the same time, I was running my studios and others. So it's not village photography.
The reason I call it village photography is that those were the times that you take the photo, you bring it back after going to wash it, maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
I've done all those.
And
I had my own studio.
If the film is bent, then trouble.
I had my own dark room. I developed the film.
Oh, you develop it?
I develop and print myself.
Wow.
Because we were in before color photography started. So we were the first guys to start color photography, which started at Colorama in Osu. Here, only one spot across the country, and everybody was coming to do so
if I give you a Fuji film, or is it
Kodak, Fuji, and all
you can
things.
do a good job right now.
Well,
you know your aperture and your all those things.
Those days we were using
your f-stops.
We were even using box cameras, and we're using focus cameras. Today, people they don't struggle.
No, the camera does everything.
You do it automatically. It does everything for you, but you have to do it and position the person, focus, get the eyelids, and ensure that your focusing is very sharp and take the picture. I did it for some time.
One of these days, you should exhibit your photos from those days if you have them. It would be,
yes,
nice
I have them.
Exhibit them somewhere. We'll come and
I have some
patronize
very prominent people in the society who...
whose photos you took?
Yes.
Oh, interesting. Please exhibit it as you have permission. Or you don't even have the need there, but exhibit it to come and watch. And those who have money will buy.
One day I will do that.
I see. But what have you been up to? You've been MIA, missing in action in a long time. Where have you been?
Well, you know, I lost my mother almost 2 years ago. And after the funeral, I traveled outside because my siblings had been outside the country for some time. A number of them are in the US, and decided to organize a funeral for the old lady. And so they invited me, and I went and joined them. And I had not been well for some time, and I carried it alone. I have carried a lower back pain for over decades. And so it was aggravating, and the doctors were always asking me to take a critical look at it and make a decision to address it permanently. When I went to the US, I was struck down. And it got to a point that it became very difficult for me to move. So I had to go through emergency. And in the process, I've gone through some multiple back surgeries. And so it's been very difficult for me. So for about close to about a year now, I was taking care of myself.
But how are you feeling now?
By the grace of God, I think that the Lord has been very faithful to me because of the processes that I went through and how I have come out of it. You know, a number of people go through back surgeries, and at the end of the day, they are either bedridden, they are in a wheelchair, but God has been good to me.
You can walk?
Yes, I have some little challenges, but I think that by the grace of God, I can walk, sometimes with the support of some walking stick.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's gradually...
But you're recovering?
It's gradually improving.
Okay.
After a long flight, which took about 14 hours, we had to go through London and then through this place, and I had some challenges, and so...
Because you had to sit for long?
Yeah, I had to sit for long. But that was one of the reasons why my return was delayed, because they were trying to avoid what they call, I think, thrombosis or something.
Okay.
And so they had to put me under medication, give me some socks and others to wear. And I am here to settle, so I'm even surprised that you came and ambushed me. Me in my house.
Yeah, because the people said that we have not spoken in a long time, so we should come and look for you. And,
so
and we are happy
I
opening your doors
was
to us.
asking the person who brought us, I said, how did you manage to get here? And because of the respect that I have for the very big platform that you have, I thought that I couldn't say no to you. So
we appreciate
this is the very first time I'm granting any interview, I think, for the past almost 2 years or so.
Yeah. I'm honored that you chose our platform and you chose my person to agree to do this interview. Thank you so much. Let's talk about you as a young politician. How did you first join? Were you in PNDC or you joined the NDC?
Yes, I was a kidder. I was part of the kidder movement.
So you joined in secondary school or before?
I think my leadership actually started in secondary school around the time of 79 when the first revolution came in. I was by then at Ekwatia Technical Institute. I was senior prefect around that time. The revolution came, and as a leader, some of us also embraced it and then supported it, came during holidays, joined the student movement, cocoa evacuation exercise, and so on and so forth. A young person, vibrant, and then took a lot of inspiration from the late president, J.J. Rawlings.
But you're from Ebuakwa?
Yes.
So you're Achim?
Yes.
And because our politics is ethnic endorsement a lot of the times, it is interesting that you're an Achim man, not an Achim mafia, by an NDC and not MPP.
I can't be Achim mafia.
Did you grow up in an NDC home or an MPP home and you decided to break away? How was it like?
Actually, at the time that the revolution came, there was no NDC.
Okay, UP. Let's say UP and maybe CPP.
My father and my mother really were from the CPP stock.
Okay.
And so that is how I come. And so it's very easy for you to metamorphose from a CPP to NDC because we are a center left party. And so naturally, from CPP, your natural home will be in the NDC. Okay,
so you didn't have problems at home. How about in the community? Was it easier doing NDC and CPP for that matter?
It was not difficult because I was part of the revolutionary process, and the ban on political party was lifted, and started forming political parties. I was by then very close to our former national organizer, the late J.W. Ajekum. He and Safu Kantanka and others were the people who initiated the formation of the party. I mean, those times there was this Eagle club, and then the NDC, and eventually the NDC came up. And so we were the young people who were going around carrying forms, filling for people, and doing all those things. So that is how, and I became an organizer in my branch in Fantiakwa. Okay. It's a predominantly a UP area, but because of my affiliation with Jerry John Rawlings and the revolution, it was not difficult at all for me to decide that the NDC will be my preferred.
But you were a very young
option.
person at that time. How old when you became?
Yes, actually, when I that was around 28, 29. And so when we went into the election in 1992, and then the NDC won, I think around 1993, I was made a DC. At the time, I was 29 years.
DCE?
Yes.
Fantiakwa?
29 years, and that was 1993, 94.
Wow. One of the youngest, I'm sure. But again,
yes, around that time,
again PNDC, NDC had so many young people.
In fact, around that time, we didn't have a lot of young people during the PNDC era. Getting appointment like DCs, because before you become a DC, you might have gone through the ranks. Most of them were organizing assistants, most of them were senior cadets and others who will be rewarded. And so I remember my first orientation program that I attended at the State House. They nearly sacked me. They asked me what am I coming to do there. So it was when I managed to secure my registration and the tag that people were comfortable to see me there, because we had just been appointed by then and we didn't know each other.
Did you serve 2 terms as DC or 1 term?
I served 1 term. Actually, my term didn't even end, my 4-year didn't end when the electorates and the party people in my district felt that I can be a worthy representative of the party in Parliament. And so I was virtually forced to accept to become a parliamentary candidate for Fantiakwa. By that
96?
Time, yeah, 96. By that time, Fantiakwa was one. It was not North and South.
Okay.
It was a huge constituency running from Osino into Tem here in the south, right down to Dedeso at the Volta Lake, and then Pemu joining the Kwau Afram Plains area, a huge, and then sharing boundary with Manya Krobo. But then Aseswa and all those parts were part of the Manya Krobo district.
Upper Manya?
No,
now
Upper Manya. Manya Krobo, before it became Upper Manya. Yes.
So you won in 96?
I won in 96.
And repeated in 2000?
And I won in 2000.
Was it cool job?
Well, it was.
Because today that place it's an NPP stronghold, isn't it?
It has always been an NPP stronghold because it's part of the Achimba enclave. And that is why the 1992, the NPP boycotted the election, so there wasn't much resistance. But in 2000, it was difficult. Initially, I was going to contest with Dr. Joseph Oriata, the father of the immediate past finance minister. He had gone to the NPP Congress in Kumasi, attempting to become their flag bearer, and lost, and decided to come back home and see whether he can come and contest for Parliament. And so when he came and they told him that this young man is the one who is going to contest, I think he went and tested the grounds, and being a very astute politician as he was, decided that he doesn't want, but he was warned that if you are not careful, you suffered a crashing defeat as presidential aspirant, and it will come and it will be worse here. So in the process, Professor Adofeni, the respected, renowned historian, who was once the head of department of the history department of the University of Ghana, was the one who contested me. So it was more or less a David and Goliath affair, and by the grace of God.
So when did you do party politics at the national level? At what point did you start doing that? Was it while you were in Parliament or after you left?
So 2000, I won again and came to Parliament. And we lost the national elections in 2000. And so in 2001, the NDC put in a national reorganization committee that was headed by Dr. Obeda Samwa, together with Alhaji Muhammad Risu and other stalwarts of the party. And I had come to Parliament, for the second term. And, when I came to Parliament the first term too, in 1997, I was made a deputy minister in the Eastern region.
Okay.
So perhaps being a deputy minister, I was more or less, we the deputy ministers were more or less the political anchormen supporting our regional ministers. And I believe that the seniors in the party noticed my organizational abilities and decided to draft me into the National Reorganization Committee of the party. But I was the youngest person on that because it was made up of very senior people like Alhaji Muhammad Yusuf, Alhaji Hudi Yaya, Honorable late Ambassador, Honorable Leo Kran, Atama Benyuadu, late Ama Benyuadu. And these were very, 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 big names.
And they put you in there?
And then they put me in there. And so we told the whole country to solicit views on the way forward, because that was the first time the NDC was tasting defeat. We had never tasted defeat before. And it was a very difficult time. And I managed to work with these stalwarts, and then we toured all throughout the whole country and solicited views. And that culminated into the 2002 National Congress at La Trade Fair. I don't know how old you were by then.
I was in GSS.
So at that time, after going around with the team, Dr. Bedasamoy and others felt that, look, and I became more or less a principal speaker during our rounds, talking about organization, the need for unity and strategies and all those. So, well, they proposed to me that they think that I have what it takes to become a national organizer of the party. And so, you see, in the history of our party, I was a sitting member of parliament.
And contested as national organizer?
And then I was impressed upon to contest as national organizer. And I contested as national organizer. And you know the person I contested with? A political colossus, Honorable Alhaji Collins Dauda.
Are you serious?
Yes. And again, I managed to
so you became executive with Obeda Sama?
Yes.
That was so you and Frances Rabna is same.
Yes,
that was your executive?
Yes.
The 2002, 2004 executive?
Yeah.
And then they left later, you stayed?
So they left later, and then 2004, we did very well, but we lost narrowly. And so we went into 2005 Congress. In fact, we call it the mother of all congresses in Koforidua. Koforidua Redex. If you remember the Francis Asia, Mazoka boys and all those issues, that was the time. So again, I contested for the second time for national organizer.
Who challenged you?
And this time around, another big name, the former chairman of the party, Honorable Dr. Kofi Potofi.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So you realize that it has always not been easy.
Oh, wow.
And this was a big name. I mean, he's held positions. He's been Accra mayor. He's been NADMO coordinator. He's been, I think, mobilization and all sorts of things. And I mean, Kofi Potofi was
big in the party. And you defeated him, cool chop.
And well, I defeated him. He's my boss, so I can't say I defeated him. I won.
So you didn't start as a deputy executive. You started straight up as a national organizer.
And so it is our team in the 2005 election from Koforidua, led by Dr. Kwamnaji, who became the national chairman. And then the current chairman, Honorable John Tassie became the general secretary. And so the front line were the three main front line. Together with Honorable Haruna Drisu.
As youth organizer.
So it was a very formidable, and then Frances Asiam.
As women. No, Frances had left by then.
Frances had left.
You went for...
Frances left after Koforidua.
Was that when you went for the lady? Desusu? Is it Desusu?
I think.
Or that would be Ama Benyuado? That would be Ama Benyuado. Okay, so you went into 2008. Yes. And then you won that election.
Yeah, I won that election. So I was a field marshal, the organizer of the party, and we did a lot of work to get the party back into power. So when we won power in 2008 and formed government in January 2009, I think February or thereabout, the late Professor J.E. Mills, may he so rest in peace, nominated me as a regional minister for Eastern Region. And so I went through vetting and I took position in Eastern Region. Just after 2 years of becoming the regional minister, one day I was there when I was called by Professor Moss, direct call. And you know, when they call you like that and say the president wants to speak with you,
two things are
you
involved.
receive the call with trepidation.
Either you are losing your job or getting a new job.
Losing your job
or getting a new job.
And then he spoke with me and says, Ampofo, I know you are doing very well. And I have some very difficult decision to take. This is the direct quotation from the late Professor Moss. From the way you are working in this region, I believe that when we maintain you there, you'll be able to, you know, push the fortunes of the party in the region, because it's a very critical region for us. But I need you at the center. And so I want to bring you to local government. Who am I to say no? So the call came around 11 or thereabout. By 4 p.m., my name has been mentioned as a new local government minister. And so I came to local government.
By this time, you had stopped the national executive position.
Yes, you see, when I was in Eastern Region as a regional minister, I was still doubling up as national organizer, because that year, because of the elections in 2008, we delayed our Congress by 1 year.
Okay.
That is why I always say that I served 9 years.
9 years. Not the 8 years.
I finished my 8 years, and then we extended our tenure. Mandate was extended by 1 year. And so I held on to the national organizer's position at the same time as a regional minister until we went to Congress in Tamale in 2010.
Which you did not contest.
Which I did not contest.
Okay.
And actually my deputy then was Ofosu-Ampofo. And so when I said that, Abuatinjan is taking over from me, let's support him. Because of the confidence he had in me, nobody even contested him. So for the first time, he went to become a national organizer unopposed.
Let me take a break. This is Face to Face. My name is Ofosu-Ampofo. My guest is Honorable Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo. He's a former chairman of the NDC. We're just walking through memory lane how he's been joining NDC politics up to the level. He became a minister, had to put away the executive position, but he came back as chairman. What happened? How come he lost the election? That's the next question I'm going to ask him. And how has he taken that defeat to someone he has been working with since 2004? Johnson Asedu Nketia, please stay with us. You're welcome back. This is Face to Face. My name is Ofosu-Ampofo, and my guest, Honorable Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo. So you left the national position or national party, and then you came back. How did you come back in?
Well, after I left as national organizer, they still felt that my expertise and experience are needed at the national level. So I was appointed as a member of the National Executive Committee of the party. So I was still attending NEC meetings. I wasn't attending FEC meetings, but I was attending NEC meetings until I came to local government as the Minister for Local Government. And so my presence in the center enabled me to work closely with the then organizer, my deputy Abuatinjan, and the general secretary and others, because already we've been working together. And you know that local government is more or less linked with almost like the structures of the party. So I move into the regions, I move into the districts, and I still have opportunity to combine party work with the kind of work that I was doing. So it was after the 2012 elections when we won, and I must say that I also played a very pivotal role in the winning of the 2012 election, because I virtually moved with His Excellency John Dramani Mahama.
Were you campaign manager or something? Or you had some?
I wasn't the campaign manager, but I was really very pivotal, because as a local government minister, anywhere that he's going, my DCs and the system there must, so I must be there to whip them into action.
So this was the campaign for 2012?
Yeah, so after the 2012 election, I was not renominated as a minister.
Did that bother you?
It didn't bother me.
Why were you not given a job?
Well, the coach decided to select new players, and so...
And benched you?
And then benched me. I don't think I was in the bench.
Were you in the stands or you were on the field but not playing?
I think I was on the field but not playing.
Not playing.
So I was not worried because I felt that in the party, sometimes some will have to give way for others to come and continue.
But you weren't angry with Mahama?
No, not at all. I wasn't angry. So I was at home for close to 2 years, almost 2 years. And it was during that time that we were preparing to go for the next Congress in Kumasi. And so people came to me. They were even pushing me to go for the national chairmanship position. And by then, the Honorable Dr. Ofosu-Ampofo was contesting. He's my senior brother. I respect him a lot. And we have so many things in common, even though he comes from the Ada area, Greater Accra area. He is more an action person.
Okay.
Yeah, because the mobilization program took him to Eastern region and he settled at Osino, which is part of my constituency. Okay. And more or less became accepted as part of the community there. So he had mothers and all those things there. And so when he decided to contest, I felt that I won't contest him. So there were rather more positions for vice chairman. Why not going for one of the vice chairmen so that I can still use the experiences that I've acquired over the period to support his office. And so I went and contested for vice chairman in Kumasi. And in fact, I think I was there. My votes, if you put about 4 of the other people's votes together, I think my vote was one of the highest votes.
So it was a good win there. And then you served for...
And then for another 4 years. So when I became a vice chairman, and then they decided to add another portfolio to it and made me the director of elections of the party. So you could see that I have virtually...
You're back to doing operations again.
Yeah, so I was part of that. And it was just around that time that I was appointed the chairman of the GPHA board. So it was under my tenure that the new port,
the Long Port
that we see now, was conceived, and then we had to go through all those things to get the port in place as you see now. The maritime hospital, the expansion project in Takrade and Tema, the river terminal in Tema, and several other major infrastructure, the procurement of state-of-the-art cranes and all those things were done during our tenure of office. And so that's I had to combine chairman of the board of GPHA, at the same time vice chairman, director of elections, and then we went into 2016, and unfortunately we lost the election.
How did you decide then to run for the main chairmanship position?
So when the opportunity came for us to reorganize the party towards the 2020 elections, I did an introspection. I did some consultation. I felt that I had been apprentice.
You've been trotro meat, use meat. That's a popular thing.
I have gone through the mill at all levels, from the branch. Mind you, I started as a branch organizer. The smallest unit of the party, from the branch to the constituency, to the region, to national, and national too. I've been national organizer for 10 years. I've been vice chairman. I've been director of elections. I felt that I have been trained, and my capacity has been built enough for me to attempt to go for the chairmanship of the party. But I had to do some consultation with some very senior members of the party. And after my round of consultation, they felt that, because you see, when you're going to contest for such positions, you would need to get the buy-in of some powers that be in order to give you some assurance that
you just don't go inside.
No, when you just get up and go inside and you don't have that support, you go and hit a wall, and it will be unfortunate. So in politics, whatever decision that you are taking, you need to do a proper background check, you need to do consultation, you need to get the endorsement of some key people.
So you got the green light, you contested. Did you go against Potofi again?
No, Potofi was not contesting.
So you went against who?
So,
or it was a fresh field?
It was a fresh slate.
And then you went and you won?
So I won.
Okay.
In fact, I contested against, again, major stalwarts of the party. Alhaji Hudu Yahya, who is my boss. When he was the general secretary of the party, I was a DC, a very young person. And when they say, Hudu is visiting your district,
you have to be alert.
You have to be alert. And so, it was himself, Ambassador, Honorable Ambassador Budakpi, and then Madame Betimul Idrisu, and then I think Mr. Danianan, who has also been Greater Accra Regional Chairman before and National Vice Chairman before. So it was a very formidable, race. And
you served for 4 years. You do know that your chairman rarely gets retained, national chairman of NDC, because I'm just looking back. All the people you mentioned, it appears everybody serves one term and they go. You decided to go second round, and it didn't work out. And you were
Well, let me say that at the time that the leadership of the party was entrusted to me, we had gone into the 2016 election. We had suffered the most crushing defeat in the life of the party. In 2016, we lost by about 1 million votes. We lost close to, I think, 53 seats in parliament. And so the party was in a very bad shape. And then we lost while we were in government, with all the government machinery and the logistics and everything. We lost, and we had gone into opposition. And so one would say that at that time, it was not too enticing a job to go and take the mantle of leadership.
It was a poison chalice.
But I felt that it was a challenge that I had to. And I have to marshal all the experiences that I've gotten over the years. And also the fact that I interconnect with several aspects of the party. I've been an MP before, so my connection with the parliament was good. I've been a minister before, so my connection with ministers are good. I've been a DCE before, so the DCE also, they see me as part of them. And again, I've been a main party person. So I thought around that time, you need such a person who will be able to navigate the party and bring all the major stakeholders together in order to prosecute an effective campaign, because it was not easy to wage the battle from opposition, from a government party that has won against a former government. And so that was the motivation. I knew the task was very daunting, but I thought that with the grace of God, and some of the abilities that I have, I kept telling them that you vote for Ofosu-Ampofo and you get 4 free. And I was saying that, well, you vote for me as a chairman, you have a communicator in me, because I have communicated for the party, as you alluded to. Years back, if I can, Adumbo FM. We're the first people who started Jason Sam at Adumbo FM in the early part of the establishment of the station. And so I communicate. And then you also do that, you also vote for an election expert, because I've also gone through the mail, and I'm an organizer, I'm an election man, I communicate, and so I'll combine all this.
So you ticked all the right boxes?
Yeah, so, yes, I tick all those boxes, and so when I went into the election and they voted for me, I never rested. And you see, you need to, for me, in politics, your performance is measured by numbers. And the numbers are very clear.
What are the numbers?
The numbers are that we lost by about 1 million votes. When I took over the party as a leader, together, I'm not saying me, but together with the
Your
team,
administration.
because my administration, we were able to increase our votes from 4 million to over 6 million. We got about 2 million extra. It has never happened. I mean, just do the analysis and check whether for 4 years, any party has been able to garner 2 million plus votes from the previous votes that they had. We had deficits in parliament. We were able to clear all those deficits, about 50-something seats that we lost. We were able to clear it back. And then for the first time, we had a hung parliament of 137. But for the fact that the independent person decided to play ball with the MPP, there was a stalemate. Again, I believe that we never lost even that election because there were 5 critical seats that if they had called the results on the night or the preceding days, then NDC would have been in majority. And I'm talking about Techiman South. And you know what happened in Techiman South? With guns blazing and 8 people being killed, and then the results not being declared. Because this is a constituency that presidential we have won of over 5,000 votes. And so there is a certain trend that if you have won the presidential by over 5,000 votes, the likelihood is that you win the parliamentary vote. But all the skirmishes were put in place to prevent the declaration of that result. In Seville also, they had counted the presidential ballot, and we have won the presidential ballot hands down. The parliamentary ballots had been counted, and the MPP were leading by, I think, about 100 votes. It was left with 2 boxes to be counted. And the presidential in those 2 boxes showed that, I mean, if the parliamentary is counted, then NDC had won that seat. Strangely enough, some confusion was orchestrated in the place, and a decision was taken to bring the boxes to the EC center for the counting to be done there, so the collation would be done. By the time the vehicle carrying the box got there, the box had been stolen. And so we have been in court up till now.
So you thought Techiman South should have gone for you? Sefiri also should have gone for you?
Then, Esikado Keten, you know Professor Grace Ayosu, who were also winning there. And the same modus operandi came there. Then Takwan Swayum, the same thing happened in Takwan Swayum. And then eventually the military force and the security force, I was talking to my chairman then. He said, Chairman, at a point in time, I have to decide between my life and the seat. And the way things were going, I had no option. Then Zabzugu. So these 5 seats, if they were called, would have had a very comfortable majority. And once you get a comfortable majority in such an election, obviously, winning the presidency will not be difficult. And that is why we challenged the results in the court and thought that we never lost. And I still believe that President Mahama never lost the 2020 elections, because if all things had gone the way it should go, we would have formed government.
So were you not, it was under your administration, so maybe there was a lack of vigilance, and that's what cost you the election, don't you think?
Well, when guns, I mean, you know, Abrikuma Central, for instance, I think in the process of the declaration, the same thing happened. But you know, Accra is Accra. Our people were stood to their grounds. Some bullets had bullet wounds. One person died there, but they still insisted that they would do the right thing. And so in Abrikuma Central, we won the seat. If we had chickened out in the face of the intimidation and all those things, we would have lost that seat. And so it's a lesson that people were vigilant. If they were not vigilant, we wouldn't have won all those seats, we wouldn't have garnered all those numbers. But there are certain circumstances that are beyond your control, especially when state security agencies, who are supposed to ensure that they become impartial and ensure that the process go, decide to, play to the gallery of the government of the day and start brutalizing people here and there, then you have a challenge.
So you think you did a good job as chairman, and yet your party members rejected you at the polls. What happened?
Well, I think that perhaps I didn't have the opportunity of telling my story well, because one of the mishaps that I suffered was that just around the time that we were picking our nomination forms, my mother passed, and there was a lot of pressure on me. My siblings are not here, and I had to take the responsibility. And traditionally, you cannot go to the field and campaign when you have lost your mother. I have to perform the 1-week riot and a whole lot of things. So I lost a lot of time. Again, I as a chairman and leader of the party, and I want to say this for the records, that since 1992 that I came to this party, we haven't gone to National Congress for elections where you have campaign launch and attacks against one person here and there. So I decided that I want to follow the tradition. And as a leader and chairman of the party, I thought that the destiny of the party has been put in my hands. And so if I don't manage things well, and there's an explosion, and the party disintegrates, my name will go into the history books as the chairman who was not able to hold the party together, and as a result of elections, because it was the first time you have a sitting general secretary contesting a sitting chairman. It was a very delicate situation. So I behaved like the biblical Solomon story of the two women. And I decided that one says, cut the baby into two and let's take half and go. And another one says that, look, let's preserve the baby because we don't know what the baby will do in future. I look at the situation from that point of view, and I felt that
preserve the NDC.
What I need to do is to preserve the NDC. So that today, when I'm talking about my records, I would say that I had a successful 4-year tenure and handed over very peacefully. So I made sure that the baby was not cut into two. I made sure that we preserved the NDC. And so my silence from that time to this time, I've never spoken about this. And I think the only extent I'll go is to this level.
I understand.
And I will say that my policy then and now is strategic silence. And strategic silence is policy. And that policy is what is guiding me. And so I'm not going to talk about that matter.
So even if I asked you if your opponent was intending to break the baby into two at that time, was that what he was trying to do?
No. I'm just giving an example.
I get you. I'm just giving
an example. So I don't want to make reference to anybody. I'm telling you what I decided to do.
Just a few things. Did you and Mosquito agree not to contest each other as chairman? Did he?
No, I don't want to go into any of those things because, you see, the NDC is focused on winning the 2024 elections. I told the journalists when I arrived at the airport that my coming is to come and support the effort of the party. The new executives are doing very well. They are pushing the frontiers of the party. The flag bearer is all over the place. It's working. The atmosphere is ripe for an NDC, and it's ripe for an NDC victory. And I believe that all what I can do now is to come and support the good work that is already ongoing. And so if you want any meat from me to go and chew,
I won't get.
You won't get it.
What is your relationship with Johnson Asedo Nketia like currently?
I don't have any problem. I arrived from the US. I've called all the leading members of the party.
Including Mosquito?
I've called the national chairman. I've called the general secretary.
Did he pick up?
Yes, he picked up.
You greeted?
Yes, we spoke.
You spoke?
Yeah, when I was in the US, he came with the speaker and Honorable Kofi Atto to a conference, and they called to check on me, and we spoke. Okay. And so we don't have any problem at all.
There's no bad blood between you two?
No, there is no problem. I don't have any problem at all.
You have no fight with Fifi Kwete?
No, I've spoken with the general secretary of the party. When I called him, but they were all on the field because of the registration exercise. When I called him, was in Western North, and he gave me a rundown of activities.
While you were away in the US, they said you lost the executive. The only person you have in the executive now is a youth organizer, and that is your boy. Is that true? That you and him are plotting the destruction of the NDC?
Oh, well,
you were away, you didn't hear. This was across the Atlantic.
Well, I didn't hear, but if you heard it, it's not true because not true. I have observed him from afar, and I think that he's doing a very great job. The fact that they say he's my boy, I mean, I've mentored a lot of people in the party. There are people at the national executive today who passed through my hands. I've mentored a lot of them. I don't want to mention names. But if you want me to single out the youth organizer, I would say that when he completed the University of Ghana, Legon, we were going into the, I think, 2004 elections. He was a young person who has graduated from there. We were looking for a candidate in the Okre constituency. Ever since the late Fuzi Tobe won that seat and came to parliament and we lost it in 2000, we have never won that seat again. And so I went round on my rounds and met him in the Okre, Akudukrum, and they introduced him to me. And I look at him and I said, look, I'll mentor you and support you to pursue your political path. So I really encouraged him to contest for the Okre seat. He lost. But when the NDC won the election in 2008, I recommended that because of the effort he put in, we should make him the DC there. So it is from that DC, then became MC when we elevated the district, and then to become. So as for, if you talk about people who are my boys, if you open the phone lines and you ask across the country, I think that I've mentored a lot of people.
Let's talk about John Dramani.
I think that it will be most disingenuous for anybody by any stretch of imagination to suggest the list that the current youth organizer will be doing anything to undermine the party. I know his passion. I know the resources he and his brothers, his family. You know, his father once contested for Eastern Regional Chairman of the party and lost. His father is a good friend of mine. And they are resourceful. And I know the kind of resources Pablo, as a national chairman, I don't remember when we provided budget for Pablo to do his job.
But he was doing it.
He was doing it and raising resources.
What's your
I think that it would be most disingenuous to say the least for anybody to say that Pablo is undermining the party.
What is your relationship with John Mahama now? Do you speak with him? Are you in good relationship?
Oh yes.
When was the last time you communicated?
If people don't know, President Mahama and I have come a long way. We entered Parliament the same year. We were sworn in as MPs the same day. And then subsequently, he was appointed as a Deputy Minister of Communication, and I was appointed as Deputy Minister for Eastern Region. So that is where we have. And then in 2008, when he partnered the late Mills, I was more or less his campaign manager and traveled the length. In fact, we divided ourselves into two. My deputy, Yao Jan, was on Professor Mills' campaign team. And then myself, I was on President Mahama's campaign team. And I worked with him through thick and thin till we won the election and formed government. And when we formed government and I was in the Eastern region, he used to come there. When I became a local government minister, at a point in time, for every activity that he's invited and he's unable to attend, the late Bafuboni, who was his chief of staff, will call me and say that the old man says you should go and represent him. In fact, there was a day that I asked her, I said, I said, Bafuboni, you people are worrying me too much. You know my schedule. Sometimes you call me last minute.
To do that fine.
But then let me end, because if I don't end this story, you might not understand it. Then he said that, look, do you know why? The old man says that anytime he asks you to go and represent him, he goes home to sleep because he knows that he will deliver. That is the kind of confidence President Mahama had in me. And as a chairman of the party, he will attest that if there was anybody who showed loyalty, commitment, dedication to his cause, maybe it will be second to none. If you will and you ask him, he will tell you that I was 24 hours there for him, and I have worked with him till now.
Is it true that...
And let me even add that I owe him a lot of gratitude, because in my very difficult times in the US, when I was faced with serious financial challenges with regard to addressing the health challenges that I went through, President Mahama stood up for me. He became my fundraiser. He spoke with people who matter, and he supported me immensely. And so the moment I arrived, the first thing I said, and I was talking to my lieutenants, and I was telling them that I want to see him before I do any public event. Unfortunately, certain events have taken him out of town. He was in Nigeria, he came back, he went to Upper East for the burial of the late John Tia. And so I've just been around not more than 2 weeks. And so...
But you will see him. You have
I'll see him. But in fact, let me tell you that I communicate with him regularly.
Very well. Just a quick question I want you to answer under 30 seconds. Is it true that you supported Dr. Kwabena Dufo against him?
Never.
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 This is face to face. We'll be back and then I'll ask him what the NDC's chances are. And even if he's still a member of the NDC, that's also something that was thrown about. I'll ask him that when we come back. Please stay. You're welcome back. Chairman Ofosu-Ampofo, you are coming up against the MPP in an election they plan to break the 8. I want you to look at NDC people in the face now and tell them whether or not you are still a member of the party and whether you can be trusted to support them in this election.
When you cut my blood, 4 colors will come.
4?
4. Red, white, black, and white. That's the NDC colors. And green. Those are
NDC
the
colors.
Green, the red, and then the
white and black.
White, and then the black. Those are the colors that will.
So you're NDC still?
I am through and through NDC. In fact, my membership of NDC is as constant as day follows night and night follows day.
It's interesting we are having this conversation just a week after a leaked tape came out, a leaked tape of the Attorney General. You are in court over a leaked tape. How are you surviving that?
And let me even say that even on my sick bed, I was still working for the NDC.
You're doing NDC.
I mean, when the Canada branch was being inaugurated, I had to do a Zoom, address as a special guest of honor to inaugurate the Canada chapter of the party recently. So even on my sick bed.
You're working.
And then, let me say that even whilst I was sick, I still took advantage to start learning new things about campaigns, the technologies and all those things in the US. I enrolled and did an online program on my hospital bed with the University of Richmond on what do you call it, professional campaign management. And I've come out with new ideas and I've been feeding the system and support, telling people a few things that they should do. So I am part of the NDC and I'll continue to be part of the NDC. I have come because the call for change of this government has moved beyond partisanship into national clarion call. The clarion call is now more or less a national call to duty to ensure that this government, which has brought so much hardship, economic hardship, I mean, sometimes you can't even imagine where we are now. And I keep on asking myself, is Bawumia who he claims to be he is? Because when he speaks on the campaign platform now, I ask whether he is Alan Kyerematen, because he speaks as if Alan Kyerematen, who has left the MPP and trying to come out with new ideas. I wonder a sitting vice president will go and be making statements and has forgotten his role as the chairman of the economic management team. And
it's not his government.
And yesterday I heard him saying that, reintroduction of the, the toll booths and all. Are you not part of this government? As a vice president, it is your government. You are an integral part, and the number 2 most important person in the government is the vice president. And the president himself indicated when we appointed him that he is bringing Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia because of his economic prowess and credentials to come and salvage the economy of the country. So completely he's a failure. He's a failure. And I think that, well, I don't want to use a certain word, but I think that Ghanaians should look at what has happened in South Africa over the election now and take a decision that will chart a new path for the future of this country. I believe that the MPP under President Kufuor and Dr. Bawumia has taken this country for granted. And the silence of the voices that we used to hear when NDC was in power is very surprising. But I believe that the ordinary Ghanaian will rise up to the occasion and ensure that there's a change of government.
How are you being affected by the court case you have against you, though, in just a few seconds?
Well,
you still go to court, right?
I still go to court. I've gone to court for over 70 times. It didn't affect my work as a chairman of the party, because I remember a day that I had to travel all the way from Sehui also to Accra to attend court. And just after the court, I had my clothes in the car, I changed over, and I was on the field again. So it hasn't affected. I don't think that I have committed any crime. I think that I was talking to my party people, and I believe that as the proceedings go, I believe that I'll be vindicated because in my life as a politician, right from 1993 up to now, I've not had any issue with police. I've not even gone to court to go and bail somebody. I have no issue, case of violence against me. Even one of the campaigns that was made against me was that I had to stop Ofosu-Ampofo from going by election because I value the life of people more than one seat. And I thought that the decision that I took at Ofosu-Ampofo, I've never regretted it because it triggered off a number of interventions, including the setting up of a mission committee, whether the president took their recommendations or not. It tried to sanitize the political environment towards the 2020 election. And so the work of vigilante groups and others, as we saw in the previous elections, was not there. But let me just give you a hint that my thesis for my PhD was on vigilantism and its effect on democratic governance in Ghana.
Interesting.
And I will make the thesis available, and a book will be published out of it. And so people will then come to appreciate exactly that violence in any form is not good for our body politics and our democratic experiments.
Honorable Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, thank you so much for joining us on Face to Face.
So I also want to thank you for the opportunity and to assure the teeming supporters of the NDC that I have come. In whatever condition that I find myself, I'm prepared to go the extra mile to help the NDC party and to help His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, who is passionate about the future of this country, who wants to redeem this country, who I believe can turn the fortunes of this country around, given the opportunity. He is the most experienced hands to be entrusted with the governance of this country. And so I urge all Ghanaians not to make any mistake at all, because those who will talk, it's not about talk show. If governance is about talk show, then we vote for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. But I was here when Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia came to my own constituency and said that they are changing the road infrastructure from bitumen road to concrete road. He announced it in front of Temaoil Refinery, and that road will be the first one. Go and see the state of that road, and it will tell you whether, he's a man to trust. This election is about trust, and I believe that the trust deficit, when it comes to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and the MPP, is so wide that Ghanaians should entrust this country into their hands again.
Thank you so much for speaking to us.
All
that
right.
would be it
Thank
for
you.
Face to Face. Thank you for watching us.